Hello crocheters, welcome to Crazy Cool Crochet. This is Sylvia, and in this project we're going to be working up my crochet autumn cardigan, and this is a little on the shorter side, and we're using a bulky weight number 5 yarn. This is so incredibly soft, and I'm using the yarn from Hobby Lobby. However, if you don't have access to this particular yarn, I will leave a link in the description area below the video. You have to open it up and find a lot more information with more detail about this whole project. So the yarn is called Dreamspun Fired Bronze. So in addition to the yarn, we're going to need some scissors. A measuring tape might come in handy, and the hook that we're using is an L or an 8mm. Before we get started, I want to just go over a couple of little housekeeping items and remind you that I do have crochet mugs over at my Etsy shop that I designed especially for us. And again, I'll have a link down in the description area below the video. I want to give you a quick little reminder, if you would like to support my work and my channel, I would so much appreciate that. YouTube does allow for viewers to give the creator, like myself, a little bit of a tip, if you will, what I call my tip jar. And I'll leave a little graphic here where you can see how that works. Again, this is, you go to the graphics below the video, the little icons, and you may have to click where it's got some little dots to open up more icons, and you're looking for the heart, and that will open up the area where you can show your support, again, for my work. And I'll let you in on a little secret, guys. I am not one of those channels that makes thousands of dollars per month. No, I barely make anything for all the work I put into these videos. So your support is so much appreciated, and I thank you. We'll be working on the front panels first, and you're going to need 2 front panels. So this one, if you were wearing it on the body, this would be the left side panel, and I will be working on the right side to show you the detail. And like I said, this is designed to be short, as you've seen in the pictures, in the photos. You can lengthen this if you want. So you'll be adding more rows, and then before you do the decreases, and don't worry if you've never done decreases, it's very simple. But before you do the decreases, then you'll want to continue to add as many rows as you prefer. So we'll be working for a size small, and the detail for additional sizes will be at my Etsy shop in the written printable pattern. So now we are going to start with a chain of 19. If you choose to work on your own, just remember that you need to start with a foundation chain in an odd number. So we start with 19, and then you're going to work single crochets. So start with the second chain, work a single crochet in each chain for 18 single crochets total. Then you're going to chain 2 and turn. Now here comes the fun stitch. So skip that very first space under or next to the turning chain. In the next space, start as if for a single crochet for 2 loops on the hook, pull through 1, now yarn over as if for a double crochet in the same space. You'll have 4 loops on the hook, pull through all 4, and then chain 1. Now you're going to skip the next space and do the same thing again. 2 loops on the hook, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through in the same stitch for 4 loops on the hook, pull through all 4, chain 1. And then just continue that across until you get to your last 2 chains. So you're skipping, pull up for 2 loops on the hook, pull through 1, pull the yarn through for 4 loops on the hook, pull through all 4, chain 1, skip, and repeat. At the end of that row, you'll have 2 stitches left. Skip the 1 as normal, and then enter the last cluster, we're calling these clusters, into that very last space. So work it the same. Chain 1 and turn. Now we're going to do a row of single crochet, and that will be the pattern throughout. So the row of single crochet and then a row of the clusters. So now we're going to enter the first single crochet into that space to the right of that bar of the cluster. Single crochet. Now the next single crochet will go into that chain 1 stitch. So you can see that right there. Insert the hook, single crochet. And you will repeat that across the row. So the next single crochet goes into that next space, right in front of that bar. And then the next single crochet goes into that chain 1. And you're going under the 2 strands that made up that chain. And that's it, so just go all the way across. At the end of the row, you'll work your single crochet into that space before the bar of the cluster. And now the last single crochet will go into the turning chain. Chain 2. So you will have a total of 18 single crochets, just as you did at the beginning. Then turn. So now you'll repeat the pattern for a total of 20 rows for size small, and then we'll start on the decrease rows. Okay, so again, you're going to skip that very first space next to the turning chain and start your cluster in the next space. Chain 1, skip 1, cluster, skip 1, cluster, until you get to the end. You're at the end of the row, and now you're going to skip the space and then work your last cluster into that very last space. Chain 1, turn, and then work your single crochet row. I'm giving you this visual so that you see when we work the 2 front panels. I'm going to give you the instructions for the right one. If it's on the body, this is the right panel. And then for the opposite panel, you will do the instructions in reverse. So we're decreasing right here, and then this edge is straight. On the other panel, we'll be decreasing on the opposite side, and that panel is straight. So now on row 21, where we would typically start our first single crochet into that space, we're going to slip stitch instead. So we're working on a decrease here. And then we will continue with the single crochets as normal all the way to the end. And you'll end up with 17 single crochets this time. Now at the end of that row, we're back on the decrease side on the neckline. So we're going to skip the last cluster. Okay, so you'll work normal until the last cluster that you would normally have entered on the end here. We're going to skip that. So we're going to have one less cluster than we did from the previous cluster row. Then you're going to turn and again decrease. So now, as before, we're going to skip the single crochet in that first space and start in the chain space. And then single crochet as normal all the way to the end. Remember that this is your straight edge, so continue all the way to the end. Chain 2, turn, start your cluster as normal until you get to the end of the row, which is your decrease edge. So again, you will have one less cluster. So just repeat that, decreasing on each row of the neckline until you get to row 27. Row 27 is your last row, and that should be a single crochet row, and you should end with 11 single crochets. So at the end of that last single crochet row, cut off the yarn, and then we're going to attach the yarn back at the bottom. And we are on the neckline edge. So we're going to work as evenly as possible, a single crochet into each stitch. You're on the right side of the work, and then up the neckline, and then you'll tie off right here. So now you would have worked a single crochet into that first space where you attached the yarn, single crochet in the next space, and now I want to show you, you want to try to work under only 2 strands. Try not to go into make big spaces. As much as possible, go under 2 strands only. Do your single crochet and move over to the next space. And again, just try to work as evenly as possible. So here is the other panel. I just want to show you what that single crochet looks like. There's that front edge. So I'm showing you so that you can see, once you do that one single row of single crochet, all of this bumpiness is gone. So you have a nice clean edge. Now for the back panel, you will work in the pattern starting with a chain of 37, and you'll be working with 36 single crochets, no decreasing. So this is just, it's about a square, and the rows are worked evenly. So this is really simple. Same thing with the sleeves. So for the sleeves, you're going to chain 25 and work for 19 rows ending on a single crochet row. So again, no decreasing. Make 2, of course. Now we're going to seam the shoulders. You're going to place the front panels on top of the back panel. Wrong sides up, right sides are touching each other. And then just use slip stitches. I usually start on the edge, just attach the yarn, slip stitch, and end right there, of course. Secure it very well. With slip stitches, you want to be real careful that it's very secure. To attach the sleeves, after you have seamed the shoulder, and mine is not yet seamed, you will open up the 2 panels. You've still got wrong sides up. Situate the sleeve to meet up, the center of the sleeve meets up with the seam on the shoulder, and then you will seam from the bottom up, whatever seam you're comfortable with. If you have a large enough yarn needle that will accommodate the number 5 yarn, just go ahead and use a simple whip stitch. Otherwise, if you need to, go ahead and do the slip stitches again. And then do the opposite side. So the last thing you will do is seam the edges. I start from the bottom and then work my way up and then across the bottom of the sleeve. And then that will be it. You will be done. And here is the completed Cozy Crochet Autumn Cardigan. Now I have some important items of note regarding the sizing. While this was definitely designed to be shorter, trimmer, it turned out a little bit too short for the average person. Now, considering that I have a very, very short torso, this was okay for me. I intended this to hit right about the hip bone or just below the waist. So if you have a more normal torso, then you will want to add a few more rows to the bottom, or as you're working it up, a few more rows before you start with the decreasing. I did mention that earlier. Now, the sleeves also, while they were perfectly fine here, they were a little bit tight at the top. So this would probably fit a size extra small better than a small. So if you typically wear a size small, I would go up to the next size, which will be the medium. Now, again, as I also mentioned at the beginning, the detailed pattern with the different sizes, I will have line-by-line instructions for the different sizes, so you'll have to go over to my Etsy shop at crazycoolcrochetus.etsy.com. So just remember, whatever size you wear, you'll probably want to go up a size if you want this to be a little roomier, so it's not quite as trim and short. Other than that, it turned out pretty cute. If you agree, give me a thumbs up below the video. YouTube actually uses those to determine a channel's popularity and whether or not to recommend my videos. So that's super helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and come on back for the next project.